Good morning, Bear Nation. I am Bear with BearIndependent.com. Today, we're talking about the black horse of Revelation chapter 6, aka a little bit of famine and some scales, question mark, and additionally national intel that y'all have sent into intel@BearIndependent.com. Intel@BearIndependent.com. That is where you send your in-person reporting. You've seen it with your eyes, heard it with your ears, not links to videos or articles or my buddy's best friend's uncle's grandma's ex-wife told me. Not that. Your eyes, your ears. Intel@BearIndependent.com. With that, let's get started. We have a lot of ground to cover today. Also, it's Friday. Apparently, that's a thing the kids do on Instagram, Friday. I'm just happy that it's Sabbath at sundown. Bear Independent Brief 22, July 22. With Turkey mediating, who'd have thought? With Turkey mediating, Ukraine and Russia are close to reaching an agreement that would secure safe passage for grain through the Black Sea. Many assurances are required for both sides, but if an agreement is finally reached, it could be up to 3 weeks from now before the shipments are able to begin again. We've discussed previously, 90+% of Ukraine's grain is designed, the infrastructure has been designed to move through the Black Sea. Yes, they are attempting currently to move it via railway and over-the-road trucking, but that's not working out so hot for them because the rail lines are different gauges in different places, which means they have to unload/cross-load, which is a nightmare. And ships hold a lot more than rail cars, and rail cars hold a lot more than trucks. And also, war zone, diesel fuel, availability of men to drive vehicles and operate trains. Yeah, it's a thing. So the whole system, their whole grain export system was designed to move grain through the Black Sea. And because of war, all of their storage capacity is currently full. It's full. It's filled with old grain. And they need to get that old grain, air quote, old grain onto the market now before it goes bad so that they can then reap the harvest that they currently have. And praise the Father, they somehow figured out how to get a harvest in during war. That's cool. The world needs that. As a reminder, farmers in Ukraine are currently facing another harvest, but many have nowhere to store the grain, as their stores are still full from the last harvest that is yet to be moved. I should really read the full paragraph and then pontificate. I'll get better at that. I apologize, Dance Monkeys, although thank you, big clap hand to the Dance Monkeys for putting these reports together every day. The USDA has estimated that Ukraine has 8 times the corn and 4 times the wheat as last year. Oofta. That's good. The world needs that. Although the USDA is historically horrendous at forecasting quantities. So, we'll see. Time is certainly of the essence. If the old grain cannot be moved securely in time, then a massive amount of grain could simply be lost, and that would affect the global market in turn. Lost because it would rot. That's no bueno. The cause of a transformer fire at the Hoover Dam is now under investigation. Officials have said that equipment within the transformer failed, though exactly what caused it to fail has not been articulated at this time. The Bureau of Reclamation has said that there is no risk to the power grid, and even the dam itself reported, quote, "There is no risk to the power grid, and power is still being generated by the powerhouse," end quote. Several Bear nationals have written in Intel about the severe shortage of transformers and related parts due to supply chain woes and how grave the problem truly is. I want to touch on that briefly due to my experience. I grew up, those who don't know, my dad owned a company, a communications and telecommunications and power company. So I grew up putting up power lines, telephone lines, power poles, Pittman polecat digger trucks and ditch witches and Telstra T40C bucket trucks and all that stuff. If you know, you know. If you don't know, don't worry about it. I grew up doing that, and I had my own power construction business for a while, and I worked in the power construction industry for a while as well. Many people in the prepper community are always looking for the next big thing that's going to knock the grid out, the next Carrington event, or a high altitude EMP, or cyber attack, espionage, and subterfuge that takes down the grid. All those things are possible, but adjust your OODA loop. This is a perk your ears up moment. All those things are possible, but they are less probable than your grid fails due to supply chain and labor issues. That's likely at this point. And so while I don't want another Carrington event, I certainly don't want an EMP, I don't want the Panamanian paratroopers to land 3 towns over and start blowing up substations. I don't want any of that to happen. I'm not terribly concerned about it because the primary threat to the grid is a lack of labor and a lack of materiel. It takes an enormous amount of manpower and an enormous amount of raw goods and products to keep the grid running. How do I know? I've been doing it for more than 30 years. Some of my earliest memories are sitting on my dad's lap on a John Deere 850 dozer with an 11-foot T-Co plow on the back and a reel carrier on the front, vibratory plow, plowing in cable, climbing power poles. Before they had the hydraulic ports up in the buckets and you used a sawdust pump, aka a brace and bit, to drill holes in the pole so you could hang your bolts, hang your cross arms, hang insulators, all that. Yeah, old school stuff, when men were men. That's right. 50 poles a day. My dad's crew used to set 50 poles a day with a pickup truck, a digger truck, and a bucket truck. Now you're lucky if you can get 6 of them a day in with 10 trucks and 20 guys all standing there, sun on the roof of their mouth, looking up at the sky while one dude's up working in the bucket. And I'm not coming at you hard, lineman. I'm just saying, remember where you came from. Remember your heritage. I do. Point being, if the line trucks don't run, there's no diesel exhaust fluid to run the line trucks. There's no hydraulic fluid. There's no replacement bits and impact sockets and crimps and down guy wire and all the, earth anchors and all the little things. The grid goes away. There's no upkeep. That's way more likely, high probability than a solar flare or a man-made EMP. Carrington event and nuclear warfare possible? Yeah, it's possible. Is it more probable than a decline in the workforce and a decline in supply chain? No, it's not. That's what I think is going to get us. There is one more interesting takeaway from this incident at the Hoover Dam. It was reported that the fire was extinguished before first responders could arrive. When was the fire extinguished? Some reports say it was as much as a half an hour after the fire began. Fortunately, the safety systems had kicked in and the fire had been isolated during that time. Time will tell with that. Electrical systems, when they fail catastrophically, especially high voltage electrical systems. In many cases, there are fail-safes in place that are designed to self-cannibalize. That, they immolate, they destroy themselves so that they don't destroy the entirety of the system. We don't need to jump too deep into that rabbit hole because it's going to be lost on 99.9% of you. But the point being that in a lot of critical infrastructure systems, there are pieces and parts that are designed to fail catastrophically so that individual component fails so that the rest of it doesn't fail. That's intentional because I would rather replace this one thing than all of it. Again, getting back to supply chain and labor shortages. And a skilled lineman or an electrician or electrical engineer is not something that one makes overnight. There's not a it doesn't matter how many Votech schools we have here in the country, and I think we should have more of them. You don't just churn those people out. And even when you do, you get a guy who goes to lineman school and he comes out and he's brand new. He doesn't have the same skill level and expertise that somebody who's been doing it for 20 years does. So, point being, there are parts of the grid and parts of the generation infrastructure that are specifically designed to destroy themselves in the event of an overcurrent situation. They fail catastrophically so that the whole grid doesn't fail. So that may be, I'm not familiar with what equipment they're using at the Hoover Dam, but that may be what happened there. Next, the first U.S. case of polio in 10 years has been confirmed in New York. Why do people still live in New York? What are you guys doing? I don't know. It's up to you. You do you. I left almost 20 years ago. Haven't looked back. I miss Oktoberfest at Bear Mountain. And the leaves in the fall, they're beautiful. But the cost of living, the traffic, the tyranny actual, nah, I'm good. I'm good. Y'all keep that. The first case, U.S. case of polio in 10 years has been confirmed in New York. Statistically, 95% of people with polio are asymptomatic but contagious, and less than 1% of the infected become paralyzed. The county in which the case was discovered has scheduled a vaccination clinic for the disease on July 22nd. That's today. And the case is being used in the media to remember widespread fear of disease, the heroism of vaccine technology, and so forth. Everybody gets scared. Everybody do the thing where you put the thing, the medical experimentation, which arm, upper left bicep, upper right bicep. There's still, I know certain, sorry, brain's on a different wavelength today. I know certain medicines, air quote, are only administered in the ass cheek. I wonder if this whole thing, has this whole thing been a global effort to get people to bare their asses? Is that what it is? Talk about a travesty perpetuated on humanity. Interesting, the New York Department of Health revealed that the virus likely emerged from a vaccine overseas, writing, quote, "This is indicative of a transmission chain from an individual who received the oral polio vaccine, OPV, which is no longer authorized or administered in the United States, where only the inactivated polio vaccine." By the way, I'm saying the word vaccine a lot in context while quoting here, so dear YouTube algorithmic robots, please attempt to not schwack us in the PP today. Also, if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. Ring the little bell icon. That way YouTube will pretend to notify you when we go live and drop new videos. If you're not new here, please share this with people you think need to see it. And hit the little thumbs up button. That helps us in our ongoing war. The war that we are waging against the robots, the YouTube algorithmic robots. It is straight up like Terminator on this side of the camera over here. Like, we've got to find Dyson. We've got to get to Cyberdyne Systems. We have to get the chip and the hand out of the vault because the T-1000 is coming. Like, that's what's going down right now. And I'm not talking about crappy legacy Terminator movies. I'm talking about the quintessential Terminator 2, right? Minigun from the 3rd floor of Cyberdyne Systems. Yes, completely implausible, would never work that way. Where's the battery for the minigun? I don't know. Point being, we have to fight the YouTube algorithmic robots, and you help us when you give us the thumbs up, you subscribe and share. That helps us greatly. So, this is indicative of a transmission chain from an individual who received the oral polio vaccine, which is no longer authorized or administered in the United States, where only the inactivated polio vaccine has been given since 2000. This suggests that the virus may have originated in a location outside of the U.S. where OPV, or oral polio vaccine, is administered, since revertant strains cannot emerge from inactivated vaccines, end quote. In other words, probably came from overseas because it wouldn't have come from here because they use a different vaccine over there than we do here for polio. because doctors speak and stuff. Now, if you're on Patreon, you got the relevant links to this discussion that we just had. If you're not on Patreon, you don't. It's $5 a month. That's nothing in the big scheme of things. That's a can of Skull. That's 2 energy drinks. That's 1 caramel macchiato, 3 good 9mm hollow points, 1 mediocre cigar. You know, what's that? 12 cigarettes for a month's worth of content. Patreon.com, search for Bear Independent, or there is a link in every video and every live stream. Now, moving right along, and also thank you to the patrons for supporting the show. You are the economic engine of the Bear Nation. Couldn't do it without you. You could not have this horrendous production quality with this high quality intel without the patrons. So, the next time everybody wants to bitch and moan about the quality of the audio, blame Patreon. Bonus intel from the Bear Nation for the Bear Nation. Here's some valuable intel that didn't make it into the briefs for the sake of time. And before we read that, y'all talk quietly amongst yourselves for a minute. I'm going to go pee right over there. And because I can. It's my show. No, Yankee watchdog, I'm not going to wash my hands. My junk is clean and urine sterile. All right, we're back. Bippity boppity boo. Extra intel, 22 July 22. Medical. And these are all quotes, so I'm not going to say quote, unquote, over and over again. These are all quotes from y'all in the Bear Nation. Today, I had one of my clients come in that works for a vitamin manufacturer here in Colorado. She was telling me her facility is working with a skeleton crew and have even went from working 5 days a week down to sometimes 2 or 3 days a week. She says her facility is reducing manpower and may even shut down within the next 3 months. Her facility has put out to the employees they are doing things because they can't get raw materials from overseas to continue to produce the vitamins. I asked her what type of vitamins they manufacture, and she said, you name it, multivitamins, B12, vitamin D, etc. Hospital systems in Utah has a critical shortage and non-delivery from the Red Cross of platelets. We will have to use whole blood if needed. Small town fire department in eastern central Alabama has lost so many people that it can barely staff the 48 on, 96 off shifts. Primary cause is low pay. Medic with 5 years experience and lieutenant rank makes $15 an hour. If more staff leave, shifts will be one person with county-wide fire and emergency responsibility. This department has no training available for civilians and hasn't had medical training for staff in a long time. Nearby large town starts firefighters at $8 an hour. Decentralization. Oofta, I want to pontificate, but we just don't have time. We'll let the Bear Nation speak for us. It's going to be a busy day today. We got a lot of ground to cover. Yeah. Another Bear National sent in a notice for a township in Michigan. Fire Station 2, located at Redacted, is currently closed due to ongoing staffing and overtime issues. This is not the first time this has happened and sadly won't be the last. Anyone living in the response area of Station 2 will have an extremely delayed response time from Redacted or will have to wait for a neighboring community to respond, which could take up to 20 to 30 minutes. For those who do not know, Redacted provides fire suppression and EMS services, including ALS or Advanced Life Support Transport, for the township. ALS, that means they have a paramedic. They can push drugs on there, versus BLS means they have an EMT or an AEMT. We're not going to be licensed by their medical director to push drugs on the bus being the ambulance. The person who submitted this intel noted, less than a week after a man in a white Ram was shot over a road rage incident. I want to be clear about something. This information is not to get you all spun up in a tizzy. You do not have my permission to freak out. This is to motivate you to do the things that you know you should be doing but have probably backburnered because they're difficult. And I don't wanna. And Timmy's got soccer practice and Susie has ballet and I just don't know where we're gonna come up with the money. And do you really think it's gonna get that bad? And my husband's not really on board. And my friend Susie said, yeah, shut up with all that horse crap. This is real. These are data points from around the country. It's not isolated incidents. This is what's actually happening out there in the world. That's why y'all watch this. It's the same reason we all watch, myself included, Boots on the Ground with Southern Prepper 1 every day, sometimes twice a day when Dave puts out 2 videos a day. By the way, hats off to Dave. Good job, Dave. Keep up the good work, right? It's not so you can freak out. There's no value in that. Getting your blood pressure up, engaging, your endocrine system to produce a whole bunch of hormones. Oh my God, did you hear that? Negative. It's to illustrate the reality of what is happening so that you can onboard that information, so that you can adjust your OODA loop appropriately, so that you can develop courses of action that allow you to maneuver this crazy effed up world we live in so that you don't become a statistic. That's why we do this. Food and agriculture. Red diesel, or ag diesel for farmers, has gone up 333% from last year for my family. A tank that cost $15,000 to fill last year now costs $50,000. And not many farmers would be able to bring crops in at that rate. Next. I've helped take cattle to the sale barn for family members for the past 2 weeks. Each time we have encountered lines of trucks bringing in cattle 200 to 300% longer than normal for this time of year. Most of the sell-off seems to be in production stock, aka mama cows. Prices for stockers, or steers, and replacement heifers are still strong for now. We run a small cow-calf operation and take care of our pastures better than most. But if the rain doesn't come, we will be in a world of hurt come winter. I praise the Father, it poured rain here for hours yesterday. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but here in eastern Oklahoma, it rained, and we needed it. I hit the cloud wall driving in my truck, and the temperature from the thermometer on my dash went from 104 degrees to 75 degrees. That fast. Almost a 30-degree drop, praise Yah. And it rained, and it rained, and it rained. We had the tops blew out of some of our pine trees. We had neighbors that their fence got blown over and trees came down. And you know what? We're still praising Yah through the whole thing because we need the rain. I got a chainsaw. I'll deal with that tree later. We needed the rain. Next, as a truck driver who works for a large company that has a tractor supply contract, a mighty large one at that, I've noticed that orders going to the stores from the feed mill are getting smaller and smaller by the week. I'm also noticing the production at the feed mill is slowing down. At one point, we kept 30 or more trailers at the feed mill to be loaded with completed products such as horse, cow, bird, and dog food. These trailers will then either go to a store directly from the feed mill or they would go to the DC at the other end of town. We are now keeping less than 30 trailers at the feed mill. Normally, the feed mill would be ringing the phone off the hook, begging for trailers, and the yard switcher would be asking every single driver if they know where the trailer pool is once the amount of trailers drops below an acceptable amount. That's not happening either. So either the yard switcher doesn't care, or the feed mill doesn't care, or need the higher trailer count anymore, perhaps all three. Bottom line is, this mill is a well-known mill that produces a well-known brand of animal feed. Get your animal food now and buy extra, because the co-ops and tractor supplies may start running low or go completely out for longer periods of time. Good morning, Weasel. What are you doing? Oh yeah, I'm talking to the people. You having a good morning?
Yeah, I just woke up.
You just woke up?
Yeah.
My goodness. How was it? Did you have a fabulous sleep? Yeah. Here, you come around over here. No, this way. Give me a hug. Oh, good morning. Go find Mama. Okay? I do. She's in the house. High five. Also check the front porch, okay?
Okay.
All right. I'm going to talk to the people, okay?
Can I not talk?
It's not your job to talk to the people. It's my job to talk to the people. Run along. I'll see you in a few minutes, okay? Toddler attack. Rome burning and supply chain issues. My inverter for my solar system went down, still covered under warranty, but I'm being told it's 3 months at best. My repair guy mentioned that they used to carry at least a half a dozen spares in the warehouse, but now they're just getting orders in from April. My father-in-law is looking at an install of February if he ordered a system today due to both labor and parts issues. When we got our system in 2020, the only delay was due to permitting, and that only took 6 weeks. Next, I'm the head of a firearms department for a retail company that owns 30 stores across the state. The company opened several new stores last year and acquired 3 additional stores in the first quarter of this year. During several meetings in the fourth quarter of 2022, plans were made to open firearms departments in 7 stores that did not carry firearms at the time. The budget was approved and planning had begun. However, the number was reduced to 5 earlier this year. From there, it was reduced to 3, then to 1, and has recently been reduced to 0. Likewise, several other departments have had their budgets drastically diminished, and the company has begun cutting necessities, such as alarm systems, for the 3 stores that were recently acquired. I've been told by others in corporate that spend much more time in the corporate office. I don't, because I cannot stand typical corporate office environment and prefer to work much more closely with my team at the stores, that the board, the president, and the vice president of the company have spoken and acted in ways that indicate a bit of a panic. Many employees' raises have been postponed, and bonuses for this year, roughly 20% of the income of employees from the management level and up, are rumored to be uncertain as sales are woefully low. Additionally, I have great relationships with our sales rep and have discussed with several of them that have clients across the country that we feel that this is the calm before the storm in the firearms industry. It just feels eerie. Sales are down, supplies are limited, but more available in 2020. And another large panic buy would likely cripple the industry. I would suggest that people get what they need now if they haven't already done so. I would also suggest that if you're considering buying more firearms and firearms-related gear, and you're not on Patreon, spend $5 and go watch the video that I posted on Patreon this morning, titled "Gun Culture Will Get You Killed," before you spent $5 to save yourself thousands of dollars. And I'm not going to rehash that video here, but I mean everything that I say, and I firmly mean what I said in that video from this morning on Patreon. Go check that out. Next, my wife and I live in a small town in Ohio in the foothills of the Appalachians, and we've noticed that about 25 to 33% of the fields, a quarter to 1/3 of us, are unplanted. Some of the fields that have been planted have been filled with wheat rather than with corn or soy. The empty fields and the wheat fields are both very unusual for this area. Much like many other areas, we've received very little rain this season. We've been diligent about watering our garden, but many people are having a hard time maintaining their gardens. The shelves at our local grocery stores have been less and less full lately, and I've heard from employees that much of what they order is not being shipped. It seems that we have gone from a 3-day supply chain to a 1-day if we are lucky. Many gas stations in the area have had broken coolers lately, and entire sections of their coolers have been empty. The coolers at one of the local gas stations were broken one day when I went in, and one of the employees laughed and told me that the coolers were fine, but the product hadn't been delivered. A close friend of mine that I've known since 2010 called me a couple of weeks ago with a warning. He's never done this before, so I paid close attention to what he was telling me. His friend owns a trucking company and stated that the oil for diesel engines would likely run out soon if nothing happened to stop this. He stated that there was about 2 to 4 months left before we started to really feel it. It's almost like somebody's been saying on the internet that by Q3 of this year, we're going to start to see real shortages, specifically of food in this country. I don't know who it was that said that. Some bearded a-hole on the internet that drinks Jocos and smokes cigars. I think. I don't remember. Which is why every day I'm encouraging y'all that are still playing, that are still whoring in Babylon, to quit messing around and start getting serious, because your window of opportunity is closing. In southwestern Ontario, local radio station has been monitoring price increases over the last 3 years, and we've seen a local increase of 20 to 30% on most goods and services. While shortages remain high, they expect a further 5% drop in supplies. Next, my mag volunteers every third Shabbat, every third Saturday, at a local food pantry in mid-Missouri. We use this as an opportunity to love our neighbors, to gather intel, and a training exercise. We use our radios, practice distribution logistics, and coordinate people on the fly. When we show up, the food pantry lets us run security as well as deliver food to cars. That way, their people can operate inside. During the pandemic, we transitioned from a walk-in food pantry to a drive-thru. This increased efficiency and decreased altercations with the public. We've broken up many arguments and even fistfights over food in the last 5 years. The intel we were able to gather helps with our area study, including tracking local homeless populations, families who are truly in need, and reasonably deduce who is likely to be an avid drug user. When stimulus checks were in full swing, we had a low of 64 families served. We averaged 183 families per month over the last fiscal year, with a high of 289 families last month. It is exceptionally rare that we ever run out of food completely. The people who arrive within the first 2 hours of us being open usually get the same items and quantities as the first people in line. It is common for volunteers to be sent home with fresh produce and other foods that won't keep for the next month. This happened last month, even with our record number of families served. This month we served 315 families in the first 90 minutes and completely ran out of food. The last time we completely ran out of food was over 3 years ago, and it took 4 hours to get there. I personally told the drivers of 36 cars that we had unfortunately run out of food. Another member of our MAG, or Mutual Assistance Group, was able to intercept 11 cars before they could pull around the building. As I was shutting and locking the gates, I turned away 3 more vehicles who were shocked that we were closing so fast. It's common for neighbors to take 1 vehicle for 2 to 3 families to save on gas. Well, bless you for doing that. Excellent intel, and also very good on you for pointing out the intelligence benefits of inserting yourself into a situation like that. It's very wise of you. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. We got our prepay notice from our propane provider this week. We buy our winter propane for the whole season when the product is at its lowest in the summer. That's the theory anyway. In order for us to purchase this season's propane, we will have to spend twice as much as we did last year for the same amount of propane we used last year. The price has more than doubled. Next, I've been a nurse for over 20 years. I work for a major healthcare system. Recently, I thought it was horrible we had no access for patients and our urgent cares were closing midday. But yesterday, I was blown away when I was told the hospital is only serving macaroni and cheese to patients. No other choices, shortages. Next, I work in the wood and gas stove industry. During training yesterday, I was speaking with a high-level manager for one of our manufacturers. Most gas stoves use one of 3 or 4 pilot assemblies. One of the main brands that works with most big name brand stoves had a 2-valve factory, one in Mexico and one in Ukraine. Those parts are very rare now. The regional distributor for the West, California up onto Montana, can only get orders of 10 to 50 per month, and advised us that our smaller shop would likely not be able to get any more. They also have a shortage of boards, to the point they tried to buy one of our last 4 boards and one of our last 3 remotes back from us. Gas stoves must have electronic ignition in most areas, so those boards and remotes are required for their function. If you rely on liquid LPG, liquid propane gas, or NG, natural gas, for heating, start looking into wood options as a replacement, because repair parts are hard to come by and are only getting worse. The board shortage is expected to continue at least until 2025, according to our sales rep for one major brand. Our company has thought ahead and has a small stockpile of new stoves and parts, but the pinch is real. And under miscellaneous, gun buyback in Houston on the local news this morning. Police department holding buyback in the parking lot of a church. Paying $50 to $200 for guns, no questions asked. $50 for broken, $100 for a rifle or shotgun, $150 for a handgun, and $200 for a fully automatic rifle. People must remain in vehicles and guns must be stored in trunk, or no gift card will be given. $200 for a machine gun? That's the tax stamp. That's a hell of a price. And lastly, I work for the Department of Human Services out west. I process eligibility for Medicaid, SNAP, and TANF. I don't know what that is. Everything has been difficult for a lot of people since 2020, of course, but to be fair, many individuals were already having a tough time before 2020. I have a lot of very difficult conversations about why a person doesn't qualify for benefits on a daily basis. This is one of the hardest parts of my job. No worker enjoys denying anyone benefits. I've noticed in the last few weeks tensions are higher for the individuals I talk to. More individuals are suicidal and very angry with many aspects of their lives and the government. They are having a harder time paying basic necessities even though they are working full time. I do not blame them for their anger and frustration. I feel the same way. I talked to my manager about some of the calls I've had. I asked my manager, what's the agency's plan when there isn't food to buy or the food is too expensive to buy with SNAP benefits? My manager said the government is reactive and not proactive. She didn't know what the agency would do or will do if there's a plan. This doesn't mean there isn't a plan, but if there is one, they will not be telling workers like myself who are at the bottom of the food chain anything. If they, the people very up high in the agency, do tell us, it will be once something has already happened. I've already had individuals call and ask for more SNAP benefits due to inflation. This isn't how the policy works. If someone qualifies for the full amount or any amount to their household size and income, then that is what they get. There isn't extra money given. The only way SNAP benefits increase is if the federal government decides to increase it. My coworkers are just starting to notice the tensions I've already noticed. I'm very worried for the individuals and their families who need those benefits. I'm scared for them. Bear is right about not relying on the government. The government can or will only do so much, and the government will make anything under the sun more difficult than it needs to be. I would also like to note that there are many individuals who work full-time and still need help. There are individuals being laid off currently or have gotten injured on the job. There are a lot of individuals who have gone through their savings and are now forced to apply for benefits. Not everyone is a stereotype you hear of in the media. These individuals could be your family, friends, and your neighbors. And that is the end of our extra intel for today from the Bear Nation. Looks like there's 1.5 thousand of y'all on. There we are. Look at that. Fabulous. What's up, Chad Dolan? Hello from Knott, Montana. Now, this is your opportunity. If you don't like it when we talk about how to support the show, beat feet, skedaddle, get out of here. Shalom. Have a blessed day. Be gone with you. Now, a couple of things you need to know. The first is, again, Patreon is the economic engine of the Bear Nation. It's how we keep this show on the air. It's how I'm able to make time in my schedule to spend time to talk to you. Many people have said, Well, Bear, how come you don't have a $1 tier? A, because I don't want one. Had one, don't want one. And B, because Patreon's doing away with the $1 tier anyway. So if you're currently a $1 patron at Bear Independent, you will be grandfathered in. So you can stay at the $1 tier, but it is not open for any new $1 patrons. So it's $5 a month to join Patreon. If you have $5 a month for literally life-saving information, then I would suggest you join us. It's the best $5 per month you can spend on the internet. If you don't, the way you can help is by, again, liking, subscribing, sharing this content out. And Patreon for us is not an I love me, you should love me too page. There's 2,500 plus videos there that are exclusive, that have never seen the light of day on YouTube and never will. All the real stuff is on Patreon. The real in-depth content, it's all on Patreon. It doesn't live on YouTube. It can't live on YouTube because of the dangerous YouTube algorithmic robots, okay? So, fire and maneuver. All that stuff's over on Patreon. Next, refugemedical.com. I'm going to show you two things that until today have never existed. The first is, they're both SOB kits, small of the black kits from refugemedical.com. The first is, this is a red SOB. This right here is a red SOB, small of the back kit. You got a soft T tourniquet on the outside, windlass tourniquet, Committee on TCCC recommended life-saving tourniquet for massive hemorrhage. Then you pop this open, you grab the red handle like this, and you can see Molly PALS webbing compatible on the back. You can put this on a headrest, on a war belt, on a plate carrier, in the back of your car, on the side of a rucksack, in the junk drawer in your house, wherever, right? In your minivan. So you pull this, your little internal pouch comes out. Of course, you can see the Made in USA tag on there because these are handmade, made in America, guaranteed forever. If you break it, I will replace it at no cost to you. No questions asked. And if you use the contents inside of this little tiny pouch, which weighs as much as one loaded AR magazine, I will replace the contents you use if you save a life at no cost to you as well. Pop this open, you got your Sharpie, you got a mini pressure bandage inside of here, mini pressure bandage, you've got Quick Clot combat gauze. This stuff is gold. I don't know if you've noticed, but the entire world is gearing up for war, and this stuff is incredibly hard to come by right now. And by the way, over the next 2 years, it will be doubling in price. I can't tell you how I know that, I just know that. So, Quick Clot combat gauze, mini pressure bandage, a pair of gloves, some wound packing gauze right here, a nasal pharyngeal airway, flat duct tape, and a pair of high-fin compact chest seals inside of here. So you couple that with your tourniquet, and you've got the March algorithm in your SOB kit, which was originally designed to be worn small of the back on your war belt or range belt. Then we decided, we did some testing, we figured out they're also awesome on plate carriers, and then we did even more work and testing on them and realized they're awesome for everything. So that's the red SOB. These are in stock. Get them now because that's the way in stock works. That means it's under our roof. We have it, and if you order it today, it'll ship quickly. Not like we're hoping it comes on the truck so we can turn around and sell it to you when it arrives. Optics Planet. So we actually have these in stock. Go ahead and get them today. Handmade, made in America, guaranteed forever. 50 lives saved. 50 lives because the badasses who work at this company showed up to work and did their job, Refuge Medical. Now, you might be thinking, you know, Bear, the red, that's really cool. I like that. How did you come up with that? And I was like, I watched a fire truck rolling down the street one day, and I was like, ooh, red and a reflective. That's a good color scheme. We should do that. And then, but if you're not into, you don't like fire trucks, and you don't like stuff that can be seen in low light and no light situations in an emergency situation where if you have an innocent bystander on site and you say, go to the back of my truck and get the red thing. There's the red thing, right? Not grab the trauma kit. They don't know what the hell a trauma kit is. Get the red thing off of my visor, off of my headrest, off of the back of my truck, or whatever, okay? But if you're not into that, Hey y'all, super limited supply. Multicam black SOB kit. Multicam black SOB kit. These will sell out. How do I know that? Historical data. It's the same kit I just showed you, but it's in multicam black. For all you super duper cool guys, multicam black. Why multicam black? Because it has a low IR signature, it doesn't glow under nods like certain black nylons do. That's why. So if you're a green-eyed googly boy, you're the monster in the middle of the night. Multicam black SOB kits in stock at refugemedical.com. Go get them while you can. Your promo code is Bear Nation for free shipping on everything in the store. If you're on Patreon, you have your own promo code to save a few bucks on everything in the store. Buckets are in stock: the wound care bucket, the birthing bucket, the postpartum bucket, stomp bags, which is a hospital on your back. Let's see. The Max, which is the mass casualty kit, those are in stock. The Crash and the Smash kits, which are vehicle kits, those are in stock. I think Adventure kits are in stock. We may still have some Bearfact 3.0s in stock. So we are literally working around the clock to keep our business stocked amongst this global supply chain shenaniganry. And so it's there for you. If you want it, come get it, because I can promise you nothing about when it will be available again. In fact, one of our subcontractors that sews our pouches for us delivered the last 43 Marpat Woodland Bearfact pouches that we're going to get maybe for a very long time. He's out of fabric, and he can't get more Marpat fabric, marine pattern woodland. Basically looks like digital woodland. He can't get more of it. That's an indicator, bro. There's a very select group of people that need and or want Marpat, and the fact that he can't find that fabric on the market, and he buys from manufacturers, can't get it. So not only is that an indicator, it's also an indicator that if you like Marpat and you want to wear Marpat and you need a Bearfact, I think it's 43 of them left, maybe forever. So, ball's in your court. It's Friday. It's payday. It's Friday. Refugemedical.com, promo code Bear Nation. Now, second to last, Waco, Texas. If you have blood in your body and breath in your lungs, you need to know how to not die. Refugetraining.com. We are fixing to kick a metric shit ton of ass in Waco. And I'm especially talking to y'all who are the Tough Mudder types, the Spartan race types, you tough guys, you cool guys and girls, our CrossFit types that are out there in the Bear Nation. Come to Responder 3. Because you work at your own pace, your own level in Responder 3, but there is 100% an opportunity for you to get smoked at Responder 3 while learning life-saving trauma medicine. It's a blast, dude. It's an absolute blast. And so we're coming to Waco. If you're like, yeah, but I'm in San Antonio, I don't feel like driving. Well, I don't live in Waco either. And we're going to be there. So maybe, don't be such a whiner and go do hard things, including Responder 3 in Waco. We've got Responder 1 in Philly. I think there's 2 slots left in Philly for Responder 1. There's some Responder 1 classes left in Dallas. And I think that's it for right now. We have more classes coming. Again, logistics. Trying to get somebody to return an email or a phone call in today's day and age when everybody's understaffed and overworked is becoming more and more difficult. That's just a fact. We have places right now, a half a dozen places right now where we want to do classes and we can't get people to call us back to do classes there. But we do have classes in Philly, Dallas, and Waco currently. So if you're anywhere near any of those places, go to class, refugetraining.com, the fine art of how to not die. Lastly, grindstoneministries.com. Kicking Satan in the balls every damn day. Psalms 138. Do I not hate what you hate, Yahweh, with a righteous hatred? Yup. I hate scumbags that rape kids. I hate them with a righteous hatred. And we are committed to relocating those people and putting a biblical covering over the widow and the orphan and rehabilitating those kids and reinstating some normalcy in their life while we meet as many of their needs as we can, including physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, educational, financial, and whatever else they need. We are in the process of building Caleb House, which is our restoration facility. It's not built yet, and the Father has seen fit to give us more than a dozen cases right now. We don't even have the facility built yet. And so as such, our operational costs, I basically took our war chest and I dumped it on the ground and set it on fire to be able to take care of these kids, because I am not going to tell them no, and I am 100% not going to tell the Father no. Not doing it. But we need your help, and I am not too proud to ask. We need your help. Literally every dollar matters. It'd be like that, as the kids say on the street. So I would love it if you would prayerfully consider partnering with Grindstone Ministries so we can continue to do the badass stuff the Father has ordained us to do and has convicted us to do. Can't do it without you. We are the hands and feet. We are the hands and feet. But we can't do it alone. So, with that, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all deeply. I pray you have a blessed Sabbath. And we'll see you soon. Shalom.